Watcher, one of the most beautiful joints in woodworking is the dovetail joint and the variations of that dovetail joint. However, not many people that aren't experienced woodworkers will try to do dovetail joinery because you do need a little bit of practice and a steady hand to pull it off properly, to make it look nice and not have huge great big gaps between the pieces of wood, and B, it's the mystique around it and how you set up a dovetail joint. A lot of people don't know how to do it. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. So first thing you need is a little bit of wood to set up a dovetail ratio. Now normally I would do this in hardwood. Softwood works okay, but you're better off to do it in hardwood and keep it. So you'd set up your dovetail ratios and then keep that bit of hardwood, so you've always got that as a reference. However, for ease of showing you, I'm going to use a little bit of white melamine because it's going to show the pencil marks easier. First thing you need to do is get yourself a straight rule and just make sure that the edge of the board is square. You can't have a wavy navy board to do this because you're going to use your square set square on it. Right, you're also going to need a marking square, bevel gauge, a pen or a pencil. I quite like using a marking knife, or that's how to do it traditionally, but these days you have these dovetail ratio markers which are really easy, but I like doing it the old way. I'll show you both. So these dovetail markers are really good. They only cost about, well, depending on which one you want to buy, but anywhere between about £5 and about £30. You have a selection of dovetails depending on ratios, depending on whether you're going to go to the inside or the outside. Oh, by the way, when you're marking dovetails, you want your pencil to be as sharp as you possibly can. You don't want no rounded edges, and you don't want to be, definitely don't want to be using a carpenter's pencil. So this one has a 1:8 ratio, a 1:10 ratio, that will never get used, a 1:6 ratio and a 1:5 ratio. Typical ratios are 4, 5, 6 and 7, although most work is done on 5s and 6s with the occasional 7, depending on whether it's softwood or hardwood, etc. Now these ones are really good because if you want a 1:6 ratio, for argument's sake, you'd put this, let's get this a little bit closer, you'd put this on the board, you'd mark, once you've marked where your dovetails are going to go, you literally, simple as that, mark your dovetail. And then you've got your 1:6 right there. Couldn't be simpler. However, as I said before, I prefer the old-fashioned way of doing it. Now, the old-fashioned way of doing it, let's do it upside down, make it a bit easier on you. If you wanted a, say, 1:6 ratio, now you can do this metric or imperial. If you do it in centimetres, you've got larger error, a greater margin for error. So you're going to mark your point here. You're going to mark where that line comes up. Then you are going to measure across. I'm going to go 1 inch. So if you measure across exactly 1 inch here, and if you want a 1:6 ratio, you're going to measure up 6 inches, which is here. And there again, the sharper the pencil the better here. You bisect that line, yeah. And this point here, which is where the 1:6 at 6 inches up, and this point here is 1 inch. Set your bevel gauge. Now, sometimes your timber can be too narrow if you're using thin timber, so don't do it with your wing nut down. Always do it with your wing nut up in the air. You set your, I'll do it on the outside, make it easier. You set your bevel gauge to follow this line at the top and at the bottom. Tighten your wing nut down, and there you have a 1:6 ratio. So if I put a 1:6 here, yep, and then we use this little gizmo and we can use the 1 in 6 there. You'll see that if I follow that 1 in 6 on the inside, that's exactly the same. You see the same mark? This mark is from the dovetail marker. This one is from the bevel gauge, siding bevel. And then you can use this, you know, for as many tails or pins, whatever you want to on the dovetail. You can just use it indefinitely. If you wanted to change it, say you wanted to do a 1 in 4, for argument's sake, you put another line here. Yep. You get your ruler. You would measure across 1 inch again. Put a mark there. You would measure up 4 inches. So you always go 1 inch at the bottom, and then your ratio, whether it be 4, 5, 6, 7, etc., is the measurement you go up. Put another mark there. We're going to mark our line here. I'll go just a touch. So this is 1 in 4. Set our bevel gauge. Undo that. Move it down a little bit. I never like to have it at the edge, my bevel gauge. I always like to have a little bit of a tail on it. Don't know why, personal preference, I guess. We set our bevel gauge here at the top and at the bottom, making sure we're putting pressure here to keep it straight, which is why you always check your board at the beginning. When you've got it set here, you're holding it with your finger here and your thumb here. Obviously I've moved because I'm showing you a video. Tighten your ring up. Come out, replace it just to make sure you haven't made a mistake and it's in the correct line, and that looks perfect to me. So that is a 1. I think I'm doing this the right way up. In 6. That's a 1 in. Is that 4? Upside down. 1 in 6. 1 in 4. Nope, I'm right upside down. That looks more like a 1 in backward 6. So that's how you can set a dovetail ratio. Either you is using a sliding bevel or a dovetail marker. I hope that's demystified the process of setting a ratio for your dovetails a little bit. Obviously making a dovetail joint is a lot more complex than that. Too much for this one video, so I will be following up this video shortly with some videos on how to actually set out your dovetails, how to cut dovetails, and I probably might do how to make a dovetail box and show you how to do that. So I hope you liked the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you soon. See ya.